Hello everyone on today's IRS tax update with the start of the new tax season less than 8 weeks away. There are taxpayers who filed this year that are still experiencing delays in receiving their refunds, so we will take a look at the latest with those ongoing delays. Also, major news out of the IRS impacting over 40 million taxpayers, which could eliminate potentially huge delays for many going into next season. So we'll recap what has happened and if the change impacts you. Meanwhile, we will check in on those reports of refund adjustments, sometimes so significant that tax filers go from expecting a tax refund to now owing the IRS money. And finally, we will recap some of the notices our viewers have reported receiving in the past week, as well as the issue of returned refunds back to the IRS. Now, recapping where things currently stand with the tax backlog, as there are still 953,000 unprocessed tax returns remaining, with the majority still being e-file returns, and those requiring special processing, which is at 700,000 remaining along with paper returns, which stands at 253,000 left. Meanwhile, amended returns remains at 770,000, and while those have been steadily decreasing by the week, it is still averaging the IRS 6 to 7 months, if not longer, to process those and issue out those refunds. No progress on unprocessed employer returns as that backlog has grown to over 1.6 million remaining, while the amended employer return backlog is slightly up to 983,000. Ideally, these are not the numbers we should be seeing at this late in the year, and should only be about half the total number at this point. If you were among the over 40 million individuals who used payment apps like Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App to transfer money for goods and services this year, exceeding $600 or sold on platforms such as eBay and Etsy, changes to the tax laws meant you would be receiving the 1099-K tax form in the mail this January, to be used to file with your taxes to be reported as taxable income. However, we can now report IRS has once again delayed the implementation of this new tax law for another year, citing the need to reduce confusion given the pushback from taxpayers, tax preparers, and payment processors. Instead, the IRS will maintain the current existing rules, which means anyone with more than 200 transactions exceeding $20,000 in income for the year will receive one for this up-and-coming tax season. However, this is significant news as many were expecting it to cause mass confusion and delays with tax processing and refunds for this up-and-coming tax season, including those who were going to receive the 1099 form that should not be. As more tax refunds are being issued, come additional reports of taxpayers not receiving the full amount they were expecting from their refund, rather finding out they are seeing a refund adjustment. And in some cases, so significant, they go from expecting a tax refund to now owing the IRS. Now are several different reasons why this may be happening, starting off with the IRS was required to make changes your tax return, either due to a data entry error or as a result of audit where they determined you did not qualify for certain credits being claimed, such as the Earned Income Tax Credit or Child Tax Credit. Now, if the IRS did process the full refund amount you were expecting, but you then saw a reduction, likely reasons for that reduction included the refund was applied to a previous amount you owe the IRS, which is allowed to happen until you have paid off any money owed to them, even if you have a payment plan set up, or past due child support debt owed in addition to federal agency non-tax debt, state income tax obligations, and even some unemployment compensation debt with your state. You will receive a notice in regards to exactly why you are seeing a refund reduction if impacted. Now, taking a look at those IRS notices being reported as received by our viewers in recent weeks, starting off with the CP-75 notice. If you are claiming the Earned Income Tax Credit or Child Tax Credit and are still waiting on your tax refund, then this is the likely cause of the delay. The IRS will place the tax return under audit and require documentation to substantiate your claim on these credits, specifically relating to the dependent or dependents in question. Oftentimes, the IRS will request proof of relationship, which will be a birth certificate, as well as proof of residency, which often requires documentation that the dependent has lived in the same household as you. They're meeting the residency test with oftentimes notices from schools showing the correct address being deemed sufficient. Now, if you attempted to access your tax transcript online, but the IRS has still not processed your return, as of that request, you are likely going to receive this verification of non-filing of a tax return notice from the IRS in the mail. Oftentimes, this won't apply to you, and you can simply disregard this, however, for those who are on financial aid and must provide proof of income. This is very important to have on hand and may be requested by colleges or financial affiliates. As a reminder, if the IRS sent your direct deposit tax refund to a closed bank account, or you accidentally entered the wrong bank account information on your tax return for direct deposit, and it was returned to the IRS, they will issue out a paper check instead 4 to 6 weeks after receiving that rejected direct deposit back. You will not be able to call them to have it sent to a new bank account, so please keep that in mind. Also, this does not apply to those who had their tax refunds returned to the IRS by tax processor TPG or non-traditional banks like Green Dot, as many of those refunds go back to the IRS as flagged, requiring additional review. Let us know in the comments section below about your ongoing tax refund issue. In the meantime, we will keep monitoring the situation for further developments, so make sure to click on the thumbs up and subscribe button below for future updates on this channel, and thanks for watching.